It's time for the Coach's Corner Show with your host, Pat Disabato.
Hello and welcome to the Coach's Corner Show, brought to you by Beggar's Pizza. I'm your host, Pat Disabato, from the Daily Southtown newspaper. And as you could be well aware, we are not at Beggar's Pizza right now, folks. We are at Athletex Sports and Orthopedic Physical Therapy, location at 4004 West 111th Street in Oak Lawn. Second location in Orland Park, 11140 West 179th Street. We've taped at both locations. This is the second time we're taping here. Got a great informative show for you folks tonight. Tom Mulvey, physical therapist and owner of Athletex, will be our guest. So sit back, relax. We got a bunch of stuff in regards to physical therapy, rehabilitation, preventative stuff. So Tom's an expert on all this stuff, and we've had him on for years now, and people really enjoy these segments with Tom on. So we are going to go to a Beggar's Pizza timeout. When we return, Tom Mulvey from Athletex will be our guest. Stay tuned.
We came up with a bunch of clever commercial ideas to entice you into trying Beggar's Pizza. We decided to let the food speak for itself.
Hello, boys. I'm a drop-dead gorgeous pepperoni sausage, hold the vegetables deep dish pizza. Just look at my cheese. Your place or mine. Beggar's Pizza. We lay it on thick.
At Standard Bank, we help our neighbors make tomorrow brighter. Families count on us for personal service and banking convenience. Business owners find smart solutions and the resources to capitalize on new opportunities. It's one thing to locate in a community, quite another to invest in it. That's what we do at Standard Bank. We're people you know, services that make your life easier, and financial strength you can count on. We're Standard Bank, in your neighborhood.
Having surgery or dealing with some type of nagging pain that limits your function? Then get to Athletex. We offer treatment for all types of orthopedic injuries, work-related injuries, and sports injuries. Therapists with over 20 years of experience provide treatment that is efficient and effective. Our 2,000 square foot clinics offer state-of-the-art equipment from HydroTrack, Blankenship, and Biodex. If your doctor suggests physical therapy, then you suggest Athletex, where every patient is treated like a champion.
All right, welcome back to the Coach's Corner Show, brought to you by Beggar's Pizza. All right, our guest tonight, he's the man of the half hour, Tom Mulvey from Athletex. Tom, thanks for coming on board again.
Hey, Pat, thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit in depth here with muscle physiology and potential impacts with training and injury. And where do you want to start on this, Tom?
You know what, some of the past shows, I think we've touched on a lot of topics that were helpful, but as you know, we talk about it all the time, more and more of these kids are training harder and trying to find certain niches where they can get an edge. And I'd really like to take this opportunity to break down a little bit about the muscle physiology and what these parents should be thinking about when they experience this type of training for their kids.
Okay. You want to talk about some basic developmental principles?
Sure.
That govern how humans evolve, which actually starts in the womb, you're saying, huh?
It starts when in development, when they're born, actually, from the womb when they're born. If you think of back to the time where the baby first struggles to just lift its head, and then soon the upper extremities follow. Soon after that, the lower extremities follow. A lot of those principles, especially neurologically, are still prevalent when we are, going through youth to adolescence and into adulthood. And they're principles that really should apply when we analyze these kids and determine in what ways we want to progress to train them. For instance, as we talked about what we call cephalo to caudal, but that head to tail. We also talk about proximal to distal, from shoulder, say, or hip to further in the extremities. We also talk about going from unilateral, where they are first using, a dominant hand, and and how many sports do we really say it really helps if you have a non-dominant, being able to function over the midline.
Yep.
And then going from static to dynamic, which implies, when we look at static, having good balance so that you can progress into mobility. All those things apply to how we train these kids.
Okay. And then you want to talk about these principles are based upon both healthy, neurologic, and muscular development. So how does that all progress?
So we're assuming that we have nice, healthy, youth that are participating in sports and being worked with. It's important to remember that these kids are all different, and they have different strengths, and they have different abilities. And the parents should be looking to see when they're being trained. Not only are they being trained to strengthen or speed train. If we look at, I have a picture here of how the neurologic system works with the muscle system, and one of the things it points to is just kinesthetic awareness, or the ability for the nerves to also affect the person's ability to know where they are in space. As they start to develop better balance in static positioning, that allows them to then evolve into more dynamic things and to work, at progressively higher levels. We have to look at how are they shoulder-wise. We kind of laugh about the days of gym and doing push-ups and whatnot, but if these kids can't do push-ups where they have, somewhat of stability at their proximal areas, they can't really progress into mobility, which may be, showing up for freshman football and all of a sudden being thrown into the weight room.
Yeah.
There's progressions that we need to think about so that we make sure that we don't injure these people. But stability is important. The kinesthetic awareness, being able to have better balance. You think of your football linemen being able to have a hold position,
yep,
so that they can explode into very aggressive movements. They need to have that basic level of development.
Okay. And how does the physiology of muscle come into play in this, Tom?
The muscle starts with a very basic motor unit, which is a single little fiber, and then from that becomes an intricate, grouping of fibers that will eventually form what's called a muscle unit. That unit is each fiber innervated by nerve, and that nerve allows those fibers to work specifically for certain levels of functional activity. For instance, they classify them into two types, and the second type has a couple of other divisions. But the first type is a slow twitch fiber, which is something that you look at for more endurance. Those fibers are really found proximally. They're found, say, in the shoulder, or they're found into around the joint. They could be found around the hip. They are the ones that really give you the endurance to develop stability. Type 2 fibers are they're more fast twitch for greater activities, and they have less endurance, but they have more ability to generate power.
Okay. Do you want to stick on this subject, or you want to go to break and pick it up?
Well, why don't you go ahead to your break, and then
Okay,
we can pick it up right after that.
That sounds good. All right, folks, we're going to go to Elisa Thomas Salon timeout. Remember, high school kids, flash your high school ID. Girls, $27 haircut. Guys, $17 haircut. Can't beat that. At Lisa Thomas Salon in Mokina, Tinley Park, and Orland Park. We go to this timeout. We come back. More with Tom Mulvey. Stay tuned.
You can only make one first impression. So make sure it's a good one with the Lisa Thomas Salon Teen Club, where it's fun and affordable to get the latest trends. Girls, head to the salon and get pampered for only $27. Guys, get the cut and style you've always wanted for only $17. Or try out our other salon services. It's time to get noticed. Only at Lisa Thomas Salon. Your style, perfect style.
Bob's Auto Body and Repair in Blue Island has been prospering since 1968 when Robert Warniak Sr. opened a business. Bob's goal? To go above and beyond to satisfy their customers. Whether it's a small ding or a major collision repair, Bob's has a trained technician and state-of-the-art equipment to meet the high standards their customers expect and that Bob's demands. Bob's also offers complete mechanical services for your automobile, from an oil change to brake repairs. Mention this ad, Bob's will detail your car for free with any auto body work or give you a free oil change with any mechanical work. Bob's Auto Body and Repair, Blue Island. Hello, welcome back to the Coach's Corner Show, brought to you by Beggar's Pizza. If you're just joining us, we are at Athletex Sports and Orthopedic Physical Therapy, 4004 West 111th Street in Oak Lawn. Physical therapist Tom Mulvey is our guest, and great location, Tom. I know you're celebrating your year anniversary over here. You know, you can't beat it. You need a little something to eat. You got the Breakfast Club next door. You need to go get a tan. The tanning place is a couple doors down. And if you know, after work, you want to sit back and watch some games and imbibe a little bit, you got Riley's daughter.
Yes.
So it's all good.
A lot of activity.
A lot of activity, a lot of options for you.
Yes.
All right, before we went to break, we were talking about types of muscle fibers.
Yes.
Tom.
So we talked a little bit about the type 1 fibers, which are fibers that are more endurance in nature. There's also type 2. The type 2 fibers are divided into two main sets. Some will say there's a third set. The type 2As are a little bit closer to that endurance set in the type 1, but the type 2s are more explosive, more fast twitch, quicker tension, the ability to react quicker. Type 2 of the B fibers are entirely that way, very effective at being able to generate force. There's a type 2C that some say may or may not be able to be converted into the type 1s. There's research that says it possibly can happen, but the critical thing that we want to talk about is that, genetically, we're born with these percentages of fibers in our body. Okay. And so, there are some kids that are truly built to be cross-country endurance runners, and there's others that you look at that are definitively an offensive lineman. And the ability to change the fiber type, the quantities of fiber type in those people, really is not that much. What can happen, though, is that training can truly make the fibers that they have more efficient, without a doubt. And so when you're trying to increase the speed of a lineman, you can make that lineman react and become quicker, as you can make the endurance person stronger. But the main thing that we want to keep in mind is that really you cannot push people of certain fiber types into activities where they're just really not made to do.
Right. If you're not blazing speed, you're probably not going to develop that blazing speed, right, Tom? It is pretty much you're locked in.
And the development of the sequences that we talked about are critical so that they can evolve and efficiently develop the way that we want.
Okay. And how is this all impacted by injury, Tom?
You know what, we know, as we talked a little bit earlier, about the nerves that come into those muscle fibers, and those nerves are the ones that really determine how active those fibers are and how they develop into type 1 or type 2 fibers. But there's also the kinesthetic receptors that come into play, and there's a lot of sensory perception that's done around the joints where these muscles occur. So injury, we found, is that there is also a decrease in the efficiency of those nerves to function. Yep. So these people lose a little bit of the quality of their ability to know where perhaps the joint is in space. We also know that injury plays a major role in the type 1 fibers, those fibers that give certain joints endurance. They kind of change in a way in which they become smaller, lose some of the critical anatomy, the mitochondria and some of the capillary density. Those things change with injury. Rehab can quite effectively bring those things back. But it plays a major role when you look at taking those athletes now from going through an injury, and making sure that as we get them better and turn them out into training, that everybody's on the same wavelength. Yep. And we go an efficient path.
Okay. And you talk about training, what are the effects of training?
The two things that we look at, number one, is that if you have somebody, let's say, that has a lot of type 1 fibers, and you put that person into impact loading or loading that has that really is targeted for the type 2 type fibers, that you're putting that person really at risk, and you need to make sure that they're able to take that load, as vice versa. If you take somebody that's rich in type 2 fibers, and you know who that athlete is, you can see by body type how they are. If you subject them and try to put a lot of load to develop those type 1s, you put them at risk of injury. So we need to create a balance of both.
And the key is to identify that, right?
To be able to identify it and direct them down the right path.
Okay. And what are concerns for training?
Well, my concerns would be, number one, that that you're really in touch with the person that's doing that training. Number two, that you as a parent have an idea of what is happening here, which is what I hope with these segments that we bring out, so that you can be an active participant here and really have a good idea as to what they're doing. We don't want injury in training, and when we get them in therapy and steer them down an effective path, we don't want to go in a direction in which, as they rehab and we release them into training, that the progression is too quick, or that there is any cause for delay in their return.
Yep, and then parents should be involved in their athlete, their kids' training and rehabilitation and everything. So, okay, folks, we are going to go to, coincidentally, ironically, an athletics timeout. All right, we come back. We're going to get into some endurance, muscle development, and some other things here with Tom Mulvey. So stay tuned.
Having surgery or dealing with some type of nagging pain that limits your function? Then get to Athletex. We offer treatment for all types of orthopedic injuries, work-related injuries, and sports injuries. Therapists with over 20 years of experience provide treatment that is efficient and effective. Our 2,000 square foot clinics offer state-of-the-art equipment from HydroTrack, Blankenship, and Biodex. If your doctor suggests physical therapy, then you suggest Athletex, where every patient is treated like a champion.
We came up with a bunch of clever commercial ideas to entice you into trying Beggar's Pizza. We decided to let the food speak for itself.
I'm a half sausage for you and your husband, and a half just cheese for the kids, who never seem to stop moving. Go ahead and take the night off, Mom. I got you covered. Beggar's Pizza. We lay it on thick.
At Standard Bank and Trust, we believe that choosing a community bank and finding the latest conveniences are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. We strive to give our customers value and convenience, like online banking with mobile deposit, so you can bank anywhere, anytime, and competitive rates on mortgage and home equity loans. At Standard Bank, you'll find services that fit your lifestyle and people you know. We're Standard Bank, in your neighborhood.
Hello, welcome back to the Coach's Corner Show, brought to you by Beggar's Pizza. We are at Athletex, Sports and Orthopedic Physical Therapy, 4004 West 111th Street in Oak Lawn. Our guest, physical therapist Tom Mulvey. Okay, Tom, we've got some common folk here, because you do an outstanding job with the athletes, be it collegiate, professional, high school, and younger. What if you just have a grandma, grandpa out here that have some knocks, little aches and pains here and there? What can Athletex provide?
That's a great question, because all of the principles that we've talked about from the different areas of development and the specific muscle fiber types, all of those things still apply to the person that was injured at work, or perhaps the person that just has low back pain, or the person that has knee injury.
Yep.
We can look at the knee here, and this is the medial side of the knee. And you can see that in this area, this muscle is called the vastus medialis oblique. That muscle is very rich in type 1 fibers. We've talked a little bit earlier about how when there is injury or when there's surgery, that those type 1 fibers atrophy quicker or change quicker than the type 2 fibers do.
Okay.
So as we bring these people back and start to rehabilitate them, we'll immediately target that area in the knee and start from the beginning, starting to use things such as electrical stim and EMG surface biofeedback, as well as specific exercises that are low load, high repetition. We don't worry about irritating the joint, but we start with that same idea of bringing back and getting the endurance of those muscles back so that we can establish a stability where those people are able to perhaps stand and have balance, and then progress into mobility, which is more functional things depending on what they need to do to be able to function at home.
Or whatever, right?
Yes.
Okay. You might have to help me with this, but is it myofascial massage? What is a myofascial massage?
So we talked in our earlier segment about the muscle itself and all the different, from the individual fiber into the actual muscle units themselves. But all of those individual fibers and muscle are all wrapped in what's called myofascia. And it's become a term, kind of a catch term, where everybody will talk about things like treatment with myofascial release. Myofascial to us is an area where with that muscle, when there's trauma, that structure changes. That's the kind of the anchor that allows these fibers in the muscle to function. But with injury, there's a lot of pain in those fibers, and it disrupts the ability of that fascia to do its job. Here at Athletex, everyone is hands-on. So when somebody has a knee injury or somebody has a back injury, we feel to get down as much as we can into those fibers and feel that fascia. There's no reason to dig in, there's no reason to put your elbow, but it's to show people that, we can feel that pain. And as long as that is feeling that way, it's not normal, we understand, and we're going to work with that so that we can then progress them into the very principles we talked about in development, as well as mobility and regaining their function.
Okay.
But massage to us is not just trying to make them. Massage to us really allows us a strong diagnostic tool. It allows us to feel where they have pain and to let the person become reassured that, hey, you're not crazy. We feel where the pain is at. We're going to treat that area so that you can get better. And not only do they feel better about it physically, but even mentally, to know that somebody's able to put their hand right on where they feel pain.
And what are some other concerns then, Tom?
I think we've done, and I commend you about the fact that you take this kind of time to really help parents know what things they can look for with their young athletes. More and more of these kids are playing year-round. And it is what it is. That's why we do it. That's why we have you on.
It
is what it is. But it's now in looking at ways in which we can become smarter, prepare them better, and making sure that they're, one of my pet peeves is I don't believe the coach has to make them fit. These kids can become fit on their own. Parents can get involved, and so that letting coaches have more time to just actually teach them and to progress them in skill, and not so much having to make them fitness. But children are competing at younger ages. These adolescents, they still have skeletal immaturity. We have to be smarter at how all of this is done.
Exactly. Well, Tom, as usual, every year when we have you on, you're a wealth of knowledge to people, and you and your team of physical therapists, you got all kinds of state-of-the-art equipment, 2 different locations that are all necessary, to get people back on their feet in the rehabilitation process. So we love having you on, and like I said, man, this is a popular segment with our viewers. So
thanks for having me.
Awesome, man, and good luck to the Sandburg girls soccer team this spring, right?
Very good.
You got to watch that Mulvey girl, right?
Yes, please. There we go.
All right, folks, we are going to go to a Labriola Bakery Cafe timeout. When we return, a little Players of the Week action, and we're going to squeeze in a high and tight for you, too. Stay tuned.
Looking for a unique dining experience with incredible food? Then check out Labriola Bakery Cafe. Opened by Rich Labriola, Chicago's premier artisan baker, you know they'll have great bread, but you won't believe the rest of their menu. Wood-fired Neapolitan pizzas, fresh pasta, and their world-famous Richie Burger. There's also homemade gelato and, of course, their famous bread. Labriola Bakery Cafe and Neapolitan Pizzeria, conveniently located in the Oak Brook Promenade.
You can only make one first impression. So make sure it's a good one with the Lisa Thomas Salon Teen Club, where it's fun and affordable to get the latest trends. Girls, head to the salon and get pampered for only $27. Guys, get the cut and style you've always wanted for only $17. Or try out our other salon services. It's time to get noticed. Only at Lisa Thomas Salon. Your style, perfect style.
Bob's Auto Body and Repair in Blue Island has been prospering since 1968 when Robert Warniak Sr. opened a business. Bob's goal? To go above and beyond to satisfy their customers. Whether it's a small ding or a major collision repair, Bob's has the trained technicians and state-of-the-art equipment to meet the high standards their customers expect and that Bob's demands. Bob's also offers complete mechanical services for your automobile, from an oil change to brake repairs. Mention this ad, Bob's will detail your car for free with any auto body work or give you a free oil change with any mechanical work. Bob's Auto Body and Repair, Blue Island. All right, folks, welcome back to the Coach's Corner Show, brought to you by Beggar's Pizza. All right, folks, let's get to the Players of the Week. Labriola Bakery Cafe, Golden Baguette, Player of the Week. We're going to hook up Mount Carmel senior guard Jake Rohde. Scored 21 points to lead the Caravan to a 67-56 win over Brother Rice. And kudos to Mr. Rohde because he had a tough game on Tuesday against Marian Catholic. Young man lives about a block or two away from Marian Catholic, so I'm sure he was amped up. Wanted to do well, struggled a little bit, forcing some shots, but he bounced back Friday with a big, big effort. So kudos to him. We're going to hook him up with a nice $25 gift card, compliments of Labriola Bakery Cafe in Oak Brook and in Chicago. Our Lisa Thomas Salon Teen Club Player of the Week, hooking up Lamont girls basketball, Sarah Nofel. All right, she scored 21 points to lead the Indians to a 43-30 win over Richards. So we're going to hook up Sarah with a nice goodie bag. Compliments of Lisa Thomas Salon in Tinley Park, Mokina, and Orland Park. All right, and what are we looking for? What do we got right now, Gerard? Stretch it out a little bit. We'll give you a quick high and tight on Friday. I went down to Mount Carmel. Simeon Rice, the Mount Carmel grad, Super Bowl winner with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, returned and provided the Caravan with a golden football to commemorate Super Bowl 50 this coming year. Really a nice ceremony. Simeon, man, I mean, 41 years old. This guy looks like he could still wreak havoc. He had like 122 sacks and 174 career games in the NFL. Really said some nice things and some things that make an impact on these impressionable student athletes over at Mount Carmel. So I have a little bit more about that in my Sunday column in the Daily Southtown. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to Tom Mulvey and Athletex for being our guest. And have a great week. Stay warm. We'll see you next week.